hate when this happens. What up, good people? You are enjoyed into another episode of Powell's Perspective, but today this is not Powell's Perspective. We gonna call this something else. We'll figure that out later. But today we as you can see in the description, this is what up, cuz, and we hollering at my cuz today. So we gonna do something different. We starting off a little something different for the year 2025. And today we were just coming. We just want to talk about. We want to talk about us as a people, our community, and we just want to see what's going on. So what you got going on today, cuz? Welcome, man. How
Thank
you
you, thank
been
you.
anyway? How you
I'm
been?
I'm blessed, melanated, and how sweet it is. Thank you for having me on. Uh, but before we begin, let's start with a disclaimer. The thoughts, statement, ideas are solely the intellectual property and expression of the guest. Paris Antoine, proprietor of Connecting Dots. Powell's perspective holds no responsibility for any statements made by yours truly. Got to get that out there because you never know what I might
Thank
say,
you,
cuz.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get this. What I
Yeah,
got over there for that?
but I just maintaining,
I ain't
uh,
mean to hit that. Sorry.
doing a bunch
Go
of
ahead. What
reading,
you saying?
doing a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of reading. Doing a bunch of self discovery, research. Um, just trying to find as much light in as many different places as I can. Especially in this world where there seems to be so much darkness.
Yeah.
So
Facts.
the
Trying to do a
rumble
little
strip.
audio test over here too. Trying to make sure everything is up because it says we are live, but make sure.
Well, yeah, it says live recording. So
Yeah, I'm trying to check YouTube though. Man. Because we'll be on here and then for like hours and
it
there
won't have
won't be no
nothing.
volume. Yeah, because it ain't nobody watching.
Right.
So, it's like I ain't even getting no notifications.
Well, shit. Let's just run with it. So my question for you is, how have you been since 2025?
And I've been surviving, brother. I've been kind of been working been kind of crazy, working a lot of overtime. It's been good, but it's been kind of hard at the same time.
Right.
Pause, but because you kind of miss the holidays and the time with your family.
Right. Right. Yeah. As we've gotten older, uh, you know, you find that family, connecting with family, is more and more important. Um,
Yeah,
Speaking for myself, I know I was kind of in the wind. It's like if you caught up with me, you caught up with me. But it's as you get older, you start realizing that the most important things are the bonds and the relationships that you build and fortify. That's the most important thing, especially in our communities, man. Because I mean, generational curses are real.
okay, yeah, we good. We good. So I was just checking everything, but yeah, like you were saying, yeah, everything is yeah. When we get older and stuff, family is more important because sometimes that's all you got. You know what I mean? So
Right.
definitely, definitely.
And you know what? It's you never know who's going to show up for you.
Hmm.
And there are times, man. I'd say just within the last couple of years, family just been showing up for me. Just like,
Yes.
whoa, what the hell? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
and think we as people we have to learn how to forgive. Just forgiveness is something that I think we probably as a community have the hardest thing. We're just hard headed, so to speak. We
It
want to.
is because you know why that is. You know why that is because we had this thing and the thing is because it's just, hey man, or if something happened, like you say, the forgiveness part, because we'd be like, man, F that dude, man, F him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know I've been in positions where, and I guess we have to learn our value because again, all families not created equal, and sometimes
Yeah,
you can't pick and choose them. But you can choose whether or not you're going to continue to deal with them. But that forgiveness piece, you have to be able to like, all right, was it really that big in the grand scheme of things?
yeah,
Is it worth um, losing someone who you may have grown up with, someone who you were tight with? Yeah, the first one's going to screw your family, but at the same time, let somebody else try and screw you and watch how family show up. Watch how family going to show up. And I found that to be no, that's just real
yeah.
shit.
It
So,
is. It is. It is. Right. So yeah. So what it was. So what was what was the you said so it was community. So what else was it that you had on your mind that you wanted to?
so in the past, all right, there's so much. You know,
Yeah, because
I
you gotta
spent
start somewhere.
I spent so much time connecting dots, right? Um,
Right.
and we tend not to open our eyes. And there's that that metaphorical third eye that everyone speaks of. But sometimes it's not metaphorical. Sometimes it's right in your literal eyes. Open your goddamn eyes and look at what's happening in front of you.
Yeah.
And everyone has been up in arms about Target, talking about they were boycotting Target and what have you. And I'm like, are you really surprised? Right. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of, all right, you have a corporation who is taking steps that may or may not be in our community's best interest, right? And it's not the first time that whether it's Wally World, Target, whatever,
Right.
they've all in some way, fashion, or form have always kind of pushed us to the side, and we were an afterthought. And when you look, Target's expensive.
Yeah.
You go in Target, you're looking for something simple, and it's going to damn near cost you a bag.
It is.
So now your Target saying, "Oh, we're going to stop selling ethnic products." Think about that from another perspective. Most people going into Target aren't trying to buy that stuff from Target anyway. So what they have is an abundance of stock. And if they're not getting that foot traffic coming in to buy those products, why is everybody upset?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't boycott Target. What I'm saying is, let's objectively think about it. Let's objectively
Yeah.
think about that. You say boycott somebody, I'm one of the first ones saying, let's get it. Because I don't have a problem saving my money. Because that's what
Right.
it really
Yeah.
boils
Me
down
too.
to.
Yeah. Look. Yep. And hey, and look, they was talking about boycotting and stuff. And I'm like, man, you know what? Starting the new year, kind of, I've been trying to, boycott everything for real. You know, like you said, saving your money.
Exactly. And I think we as a community, we need to be a bit more discerning about who we give our dollars to any damn way,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Right.
Because every corporation, we're never at the forefront.
Nope.
When you're talking about melanated people are not most corporations' target audience.
Nope.
So we're not the target audience. We just happen to reap the benefits at times, if there is any benefit.
Yeah. We know how to, and we know how to, we know how to advertise their products the right, correct the way.
Exactly.
and
You
make them
know,
look cool and make them look cool for everybody.
right? It, and that's where most of America, since the late '70s, going into the '80s, where hip hop started to start to go real mainstream and start to
Mm-hmm.
gain a foothold and traction in society. That was our culture. And what don't we what don't we make look good? What don't
Right.
we
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
make everything look cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Coogee sweaters?
Yep.
They were some of the ugliest goddamn
They
sweaters
were.
on the planet. They
They
were
was.
ugly.
I agree with you. I will totally agree with you. Ugly.
They belong in the same category as those ugly Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, they do. They do. They do.
Coogee sweaters were ugly as hell, but we made it look good.
Yep.
We made it look good, and everybody's running around talking, "Y'all not gonna get me the Coogee." The hell, So the only time corporations are going to pander to us is when they see that it's seeping into our culture, and they're like, "Oh, they've grabbed onto this. Let's run with it. Let's get a celebrity. Let's get someone who may have the ear." Because when you think about it economically, we probably spend more than any other nationality in America.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You
Yeah,
know,
we do.
we spend money not necessarily on things of substance, but we are when you're talking about who's who's basically pushing the economics of America, middle, lower class, and melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, if you're going to boycott somebody, be very discerning about who you're going to boycott. Boycott somebody because of their practices. Boycott somebody because of their ethics. Boycott someone, a corporation because of um, how they treat our community or how they don't recognize our community. But
Mm-hmm.
don't just arbitrarily, oh, because they said they're no longer going to be selling ethnic products. Let's think of it objectively. If their answers aren't going to sell it, why are they not going to sell it? Is anyone asking those questions? That's the one thing
Yeah, I
that
think.
we don't do is ask the question.
Yeah, and I think they saying like it's supposed to be because they supposed to be not supporting the
That D, yeah,
DEI,
DEI.
and they getting rid of like all of like they not gonna promote Black history, and supposedly they're not gonna have like
Black
different,
products.
yeah, Black products, and not gonna have Black stuff in there and not promote Black no more. So
Again, think about it, man. It's like when you go into Target. So let's think about economics of things, right? So as a consumer, when you go to buy something, um, you will make a purchase based on its value to you, right? So, say somebody has a really a quill pen, right? Um,
mm-hmm,
and then someone has a Bic. Someone may be willing to pay $100 for this quill pen, but if you put that same price tag on a Bic, they're gonna be looking at you like you're crazy, right? So it's
yeah,
about
yeah,
value. It's like, what is it worth to you? So
you're
if
right.
so, if you're going to go in the Target and something that you can get somewhere cheaper, you're not going to make a purchase there because it's not. It doesn't have the same value to you. So you can't
Right.
be mad. It's like, okay, Target is a high-end Walmart,
It is. I mean, it is. I mean, and I'll say, and this is what we call what I call it. I call it Target.
right? It's Bougetto, right?
Yeah, I go to Target when I don't want to be bothered with the peasants at Walmart.
Exactly, right? And
That's
again,
all it is.
and
That's
that's
all
really
it
what it
is.
is. You're like, you know what? I'm not trying to go deal with shenanigans people because I can tell you
Yeah,
right now, and Wally World has
yeah, I love Walmart too. Yeah, I
right.
love it.
They have a
I still
great
love it.
business model, right?
But
Um,
sometimes you just don't want to be bothered with it because it get kind of crazy because they be having a lot going on at Walmart. It be a
and
lot
or
going.
and or depending on which one you go, you may go in there and only have one register open, right? So sometimes you make it
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, but think
Look,
about it, right? So that's as that makes you somewhat of a conscientious consumer,
yep,
right?
yep,
Makes you a conscientious consumer, right? And
mhm,
informed.
yep,
Okay, if I go to this particular place, I may have to deal with a list of things, right?
mhm.
So now, if you say, okay, I'm not in a state of mind, or I don't feel like going this way, and it could even be that it's a mile or two further, right? So that
Yeah.
could be factored into that. So if you decide that, okay, I'm going to go here instead as a consumer, that makes sense. But Tarjay, I'm not so eager to beat him up, but I've never been a Tarjay fan anyway. Right? But I'm gonna think about all things objectively. I am not. Let me preface this. I am not. Let me say it again. Connecting dots. Paris Antoine is not a Trump fan, but I'm also not saying that this man is a damn antichrist or the devil either. You can't sell me on, oh, everything he does, he hates black people and this and that. You can't sell me on that. You can't sell me on that. And if you're I think we as a community need to stop buying into this whole Democrat Republican garbage. We need to
Yeah,
stop
you,
buying into
yeah,
that
and you just
because
gonna go right. You just gonna go right there, right to the hot subject. Well, man, I'm not gonna
I,
go.
I got you. But look,
I'm not gonna go with this man on here.
look. That's why I dropped. That's why I dropped that disclaimer for you.
Yeah, because I can't. Yeah, he don't like us, man. He don't like us, man.
So
He don't like us.
one of
He
the
feels he feels some kind of way. He don't. I
in
mean,
the story. So all right. So here's
but
a question for you. So as a people,
mhm.
as melanated people, is it such a bad thing to love our melanin brothers and sisters? Is that a horrible thing?
But you said no,
No, right.
no.
Looking at people who are similar to us and have something in common with us, we embrace them and want to love them. Some of us make it hard. I get it.
Mhm.
Now, they say by 2050, um, pale skinned people, colonizers, whatever you want to call them, they're going to be a minority. They're, if you really think about it, globally,
Yeah, I think they
they're
kind of
already a
are
minority.
now. Yeah, true.
They're already a
I
minority
agree with. I can agree with that.
because yeah, India's got I don't know how many billions. China, couple billion, right? Or um, the continent of Africa. But there are many countries within that continent.
Mhm.
Um, so when you really think about it, globally, they're already a minority. So I'm not so upset that they want to preserve you know, their posterity. I'm not mad about that. I mean, because
Because that's what it
hell,
is.
if it was just say 100 melanated men, 100 melanated women left, what do you think we're going to be trying to do? Procreate,
Yeah.
because we want to make sure that we continue to exist. That's not a crime. That's not a crime. And so, looking at it from that perspective, now, could he have some biased and prejudicial uh, uh, opinions or perspectives? Yeah, yeah. But guess what? So do I. And so does every other person in America. Tell me I'm lying.
No, you're not lying. You are
Tell
not
me I'm
lying.
lying. Right? Now, I'm just saying that we as a community, we have to start being able to think objectively and stop running with what everyone else is saying. Just, all right, I saw an image. It was actually a cartoon years ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you had, it was two entrances. Um, one said slaughter, one said pasture, something like that, but it was a cow.
Mm-hmm.
But they all led to the same, like, actually, no, actually, it said one said farm, said pasture, or whatever, something else like that. But if they walked down the corridor, they all led to the same place, and that was a slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're saying Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter because none of them have your best interests at heart. They're in cahoots. They're all a bunch of criminals. They're all a bunch of crooks. Now, let me preface this. Let me disclaimer this too. I am not an enemy of the state. I am not anti the United States. I'm not anti-government. I'm not a sovereign citizen or any of that. But what I am is a true man that thinks objectively, right? And
Ain't
that's
nothing wrong
all
with
you can
that.
hope for and expect of anyone is to be able to think for themselves. Don't follow a crowd. Do your own damn research. You want to know something?
Should. Yeah.
Find out more details rather than going with the headline. Because if you run with the headline, you're running. You may be running into the slaughterhouse.
So it goes back to what you were saying with the picture.
Yeah, you mess around, man. If you run with the headline, you're running into the slaughterhouse. And at the end of the day, they're like, "Got him, got him." Like, what the? Come on now. So we just have to be a bit more discerning about the information that we absorb,
Mm-hmm.
and the information that is going to motivate us. Right? We can't go on other people's motivations. Find
Right.
your own lane. Find what's going to motivate you. Find what triggers you. But make sure that you've taken the time to figure it out for yourself. I spend a lot of time reading law. I spend a lot of time, you know, looking at some of the headlines, and I'm like, okay, what's really there?
Yeah.
What they say? You've heard of the Kansas City Shuffle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody is going one way, someone else is doing something over here, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so you may have something in the headlines. Oh, let's distract people with this. But are you paying attention to the legislation that they might be passing?
Yeah, because like we was talking about before we got on here, as far as all of the crazy stuff that's going on in the NBA, and then you got all this other stuff he signed. Like he signed, yeah, I saw he signed something today supposed to be protecting women's rights and all this stuff. Man, and the dude, man, that dude, man, he is a funny character. I'm telling you, because he had all these kids around him. He was like, he told them to gather in close, so they got in real close. And he was, and, oh man, it's just crazy.
Now, I don't get behind a lot of people. I don't support a lot of things. It's got to really resonate with me, and it has to really
Yeah.
make right. But I need, and I don't know how you feel about me giving this dude a shout out, but everybody needs to take a look at Dan Calloway. Um, from the moment I started seeing this brother's posting the things that he was putting up, everything was it was we were on the exact same page. The things that he was putting out, and I'm not an envious person. I was like, but there was a bit of jealousy. I was like, yo, he's putting out the information that I've been researching. That I'm like, yo, he's saying what I already know. So when that brother put something up,
What's his
I don't
name?
watch everything, but there are times when I'm like, yo, he's right on the
Would you say
money.
his name was
Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway.
Callow?
Calloway. Calloway. Dane is first name. Dane. Um, if people want to have a eye opening or an awakening of sorts, just to a, another perspective, right? Because Powell's perspective is um, how you see things, right? How you interpret the world around you, and everyone has a perspective. Um,
Right.
but the one thing that is not subject to anyone's perspective is the truth.
Right.
Keep in mind, all facts are not truths, but every truth is a fact.
No doubt.
So remember they talking about those alternative facts? Well, alternative facts are based on perspective. Alternative
That's why
facts
they.
are based on, okay, well, am I sitting over here looking at it, or am I sitting over here looking at it? And a, a combination of facts can lead you to the picture of what the truth may or may not be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the truth doesn't need. I look at truth as being a solo artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
The truth doesn't need backup singers, right?
Right.
The truth doesn't need backup singers because the truth can carry a show, can carry a tone. I mean, nice to have backup singers. It's nice to have someone back there. Shoe up, you know.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nice to have that, but not necessary.
Yeah. You don't really need it.
You
That's
know.
why they.
So
That's why they call alternative facts.
exactly. So I say the truth. If you're seeking truth, if you're and you know me, I typically when I'm coming with um, true show enough knowledge and not just shooting the shit, I'm normally coming with receipts.
Yeah.
I come with receipts. I'm like, okay, here it is in black and white. You've seen me do that. Um, and I've pushed stuff out, and I don't see myself as a prophet or a leader or someone who's going to guide us to the promised land but I'm definitely, as I run into people, if someone is open and receptive, um, I'll drop a couple, pieces of information on them, see how they take to it. Um, I'm never going to argue with someone um, about what I know is the truth. You know, if they don't know, they don't know. But if you're wanting to know the truth, yeah, take the time to do your own damn research. Just do your own research. Because
Yeah.
once you start doing your own research and you start peeling back the layers of all the BS that we've been fed, that we've been programmed to believe, uh, then you're like, what? And the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be in denial. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to be like, they don't know what you're talking about. You lying, whatever. And that's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
That's a natural human reaction. The reason why that's a natural human reaction is because no one wants to know that one, their reality is false.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they thought they knew was a lie,
Right.
right?
Yep. Yep.
The other
Yep.
thing is nobody wants to be confronted with the fact that they were lied to and they didn't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was like, got you. Nobody wants to be on the receiving end of that dodo that got lied to. So it's an
Right.
ego
Yeah.
thing.
Nobody
You're like,
want to be that. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So do you see that? So there's an ego that you're struggling with. You're struggling with the information, and I've run into people that no matter how much or how many receipts you bring, and you can show it to them in black and white. Um, Again, there are some Trump supporters who double down on lies.
Mm-hmm.
They double down on like, like really? It was obvious.
Yeah.
They try and say like you didn't see what you saw. You
Right.
remember
Right.
Shaggy? It wasn't me.
Right. That's
if
exactly
that
how it be.
wasn't me, you're like,
It wasn't me.
it's like, look, I saw what I saw, right? And then they'll say, well, the eyes can deceive you, and that's when you be like, mother, go ahead, man, right?
Right?
So
Yeah, yeah.
now
Like you said, you
people
gotta walk away.
exactly. So I'm not going to spend any time arguing with someone who is in this stage of denial, or someone who just refuses, you know, to accept the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
That's
make somebody
that's
accept the truth.
and that's the hard. That's the hardest thing in the world, right there.
Yeah, you know. And you know what's even harder though? When you're trying to bring, and not so much. Hold on, let me rephrase that. When you're trying to present someone with the truth, and it's someone that you care about, someone that you love,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and they, the, now granted, some of the conversations we have, like my mother. Now, and I can honestly say, your mother is probably one of the most open and receptive people um, that I've ever met. She's
Yeah.
never going to. She's never going to shut down your truth.
Okay.
She's never going to
Okay.
shut down um, what you believe in. She's going to be like, okay. She's going to live it. She's going to listen objectively, and if
Mm-hmm.
something resonates with her, she'll be like, oh, okay, think about that, right? Um,
Yeah.
Now, some some people, the generation ahead of us, they've been so indoctrinated, so programmed, um, that they refuse to believe. Because I know people who are like, the government would never lie to us. Huh?
Yeah. Right. Word. That's what you believe.
Look, I got one word. Tuskegee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, some people are so embedded and so ingrained and so loyal, and I don't even know if it's loyal as much as it is brainwashed,
Right.
right? And brainwashing is
Kind
probably
of.
an extreme term, extreme expression. But
Yes. It's kind of. It's probably both for real. I mean, you can be brainwashed to the point where you like that's what you really believe.
right,
You know what I mean?
and
So
if that's your
I really believe this, and I'm not going to be moved away from this because this
exactly
is what I
now,
really
if that's your
believe.
truth,
Because there's
and
nothing else you can tell me.
and that's okay. And I think that's one thing that I've had a struggle with is coming to grips with seeing someone that I love so entrenched in a belief that that's been a lie. Like I mean, because I guess when you live your whole life in a lie, how do you move someone off of that? So I can understand the psychological damage, and the resistance that someone's going to have.
Yeah,
So I don't fault um, our parents, but I've had conversations with my mom and my dad, um, and I'm like, okay, and you have to know when to say when, I guess, you know,
yeah, yeah.
and that is such a hard thing, especially when, like, for instance, having having grown up with both my parents in the house, and both my parents have always been so encouraging, particularly with me because um, I wasn't the most athletic, but my parents always encouraged me to do the research.
Mm-hmm.
If I come home and I ask, "Hey, what's such and such?" We had a whole Encyclopedia Britannica, a set of
Hold on, wait a minute. Just want to take time out for that. We're gonna show how old you are and how old we both are. I guess at that, because I know
right?
exactly what you're talking about. An
That
encyclopedia
pedia Britannica,
Britannica. Y'all don't know nothing about that nowadays. Y'all don't know
um,
nothing
A
about
to
that.
Z,
A to Z.
a volume, took up a whole shelf about this long.
Let them know.
And if you wanted to know something and you come home and ask your parents something, my parents were like, go look it up. Now, as I've gotten older, I'm like, huh, why did they always force me to go look up stuff? I
Yep.
think it was twofold. I think it was a double-edged sword. One, um, they wanted me to figure it out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted me to learn how to find the answers. And two, sorry, Ma, sorry, Dad. Y'all asses ain't know. Y'all ain't know the answer. They didn't know the answer. Now, what they would do though, after the fact, after I went and did the research, I almost had to give an oral report. So they were learning vicariously through me as well.
Mm.
Now, mind you, both my parents smart. As a matter of fact, my dad is the most educated person in the whole damn family. This dude got bachelor. I mean, yeah, this dude, he got some credentials behind.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, my parents are kind of like now. All of this is in reflection. In
Right, right.
reflection, maybe they didn't know at the time, or they were like, "I ain't got time to be trying to,"
Yeah, yeah.
because I was one of those curious kids where you give me one answer, I got another question, and they
Mm-hmm.
weren't going to be they ain't had time to be playing 20 questions on my head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They ain't had time for that. So, um, but it's that doing your own research, that part right there. I think it's imperative that we start teaching or even start just trying to find out. If you have a question, the internet has made the world so small.
Yeah, it has. It has. It really has. Because everything is right there.
You can find out almost anything.
Yep. And now they have the deep
Yeah,
search
the dark
AI
web.
now. And
Yeah,
I use that today. That and it man, it came up with some information.
right. You're gonna and here's now are all the statutes, all the codes and rules, regulations, law, or legislation, are they all online? No, but I think it's a process, right? It's something that they've been making available little by little over time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Since I
Mm-hmm.
think the late '90s when they started, just trying to get all, uh, I guess, in digital form. But if you go to any one of government websites, you can find almost all the information you need. And if you really want to know, do your FOIA request to the Library of Congress, right? They'll give you this. I mean, you may
Right.
have to pay for it. You may have to pay a penny or two for it, right? Ink ain't free, paper ain't free. But if you're really, really curious, do a deep dive. Do a deep dive, and you'll be like, all right, I really want to know. And you remember this is I'm about to put out how old we are again. You remember the yellow pages? Let your fingers do the walking.
Oh man. Oh man. I think about that, the yellow pig.
Now let your fingers do the typing. If
Big
you
old
really
happening.
want to
That's
do something,
something else. That book was about that thick. You could kill somebody with that book. Knock them out. Cold.
Flat out. As a matter of fact, um, I've heard of people getting beat with a phone book.
Oh, why? Yeah, wow. Hey, yeah, and so called. I don't know nothing about this, but I saw it on TV that guys in jail they would take the phone book around their waist and so they couldn't get stabbed up or something.
Or magazines. And you know,
Yeah.
I used to be a CO.
Okay. Okay.
Take little magazines and all that stuff. Try and tape it on you, whatever, or pull
Mm,
your pants up, tie 'em in your waist. Yeah, there was gonna
mm.
be some shit.
But look,
That's what you did.
I remember we was trying to do this for a long time. I found some notes I had over here said about something that we was supposed to talk about what I got over here about the second what is it? Is it the Second Amendment? Yep. The Second Amendment.
So I just want
Cause
to
all
make
right, cause this is what I'll say. This is what I have right here as my notes I have. And you can tell me how you feel about this. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to keep and bear arms. But what does arms mean? Historically, arms encompasses more than firearms. The Supreme Court's Heller decision defined arms as any weapon carried for offense or defense, including knives, tasers, and even pepper spray. This broad definition highlights that the Second Amendment isn't limited to guns.
right. Um, so there's multiple things to unpack there. Again, I read a lot of law, right? Words and terms have power. Words and terms have meaning, especially when you're talking about the construction of law.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do I want to attack this first? Okay,
That's how about let's see. I got a top we can start from weapon versus firearm.
that's actually where I was ready to try and go. So, um, so a firearm is particularly um, used in for defense,
Mm-hmm.
and a weapon. Go back to reading that definition where it says a weapon.
It says a key distinction is between weapons are generally termed for tools of offense or
Stop,
defense and fire. And okay,
stop. What did you say? Weapons are tools of offense.
yep.
That first part, because when you're starting to look at and try and dissect the law, right, or statutes, rules, regulations, ordinance, um, you have to be very discerning and being attentive. So it says a weapon. So it tells you right there, a firearm is one thing, but a weapon is for offense, and a weapon can also be used for defense, right? But a
Mm-hmm.
weapon in and of itself is as a classification is for offense. I'm going to give you an example. So I have so it's this little bottle opener thing. It's got some sharp edges on it, so forth and so on, right?
Uh huh.
So in your definition, it says a tool, right? So when does something become, or when is something no longer um, a tool or an arm? Is when it's used outside of its intended purpose. So if I take this and I stab you with it, this now has gone from being a tool to a weapon.
Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
You've
Right.
seen John Wick, right? And he talks about Baba
Yeah.
Yaga, and he says that he once saw him stab a guy or kill several guys with a pencil. A
Mm-hmm.
pencil by itself is a tool, but when it's used outside of its intended purpose, in an offensive manner becomes a weapon.
Right, 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 right.
So we have to be mindful. Like for instance, if I have say I have a box cutter in my pocket, I'm walking down the street, police doing as they do, policing. They're so called looking for someone, and they stop you. Right? They're doing an unlawful stop and frisk, but they stop you nonetheless, and they shake you down. Right? And they ask you if you have any weapons on you. The answer is no.
Right, right.
Right? And then they pull this box cutter out. I thought you didn't have any weapons on you. Here's the second part of usually when you're asking where do we go.
All right, before we go, I just want to say, let me cut you off. But Kayla, Kayla was in. She said she had the whole collection. She talking about the encyclopedias. I remember
The
them
whole
because
collection, right?
we had them on the shelf. We had them on the shelf too. Yeah. But look, but yeah, because I have, because you were saying, you said that you was talking about the box cutter.
Right. So classification. All right. Use. So think about this.
I'm looking at these notes. I got it at the same time
Right.
too. So I'm
Use
seeing where you're going.
determines and dictates classification. So if you say that, and I'm walking, I have a box cutter on me. Police ask me, "Do you have a weapon on you?" I say no. They pull this box cutter out. That box cutter is a tool
Yeah.
until I use it as a weapon,
Oh,
which would
weapon.
be outside of its intended purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So again, in law, use determines classification. Now, mind you, this is not legal advice.
Not at
This
all.
is my experience, and I mean, because I don't want anyone going out here to be like, well, parents gave no. I'm just giving you my knowledge, my experience, and information in which you yourself need to go and do your own research. However, but my research is in law. Use dictates and determines classification. You can't call something a weapon when it's a tool.
Right.
And if I haven't used it as a weapon, then I need to make sure that the classification or how you categorize what I'm carrying is right. Because at that point they're like, oh well, they arrest you because he lied to me. No, I didn't lie to you. It wasn't a lie. And you have to be able to articulate that, right? Because they say that if you can't lie to the police. They can lie to you,
Right.
but you can't lie to them.
Yeah. You're right
But
about that.
But you have to be mindful that okay, now if they're saying that you lied to them, like no, that's a tool until such time as I use it as a weapon. So going back to I, the Second Amendment, I think every American should be required to bear arms.
Yeah,
Bearing
because
arms is defensive in nature. Every single American, including every melanated man, every melanin rich man and woman, should be carrying a weapon, a firearm. Everyone should be have a firearm.
I had my next notes. I said the elevation, the ever. I said the elevation, the evolution of gun rights. Excuse me, and it says the interpretation of gun rights has evolved significantly. For much of U.S. history, the Second Amendment was tied to militias. However, DC versus Heller in 2008 shifted this understanding to protect individual gun ownership rights. This case opened new debates about what types of arms are constitutionally protected.
So when the Constitution was first um, constructed, right, the one thing that the the constructors of the Constitution wanted to always preserve is the ability to defend themselves. because it's written in there. The whole purpose of the right of bearing arms is to defend yourself
Right.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Mm-hmm.
It's for defense, right? And at that time, there were no automatic weapons. Um, there were no multi magazines, so forth, so on. And the Constitution, and you have to, so think of this. If they indeed existed during that time, do you think that the constructors of the Constitution and the amendments would have said, "Oh, you can bear arms, but no automatic weapons,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
bump
that don't make
stocks,
sense.
no whatever"? No, they would have been like,
No.
"Oh no, we keeping them,
Yeah, we using all that.
right? We're using all that because you use what was available at the time, and again to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic."
Mm-hmm.
I think that we don't need any more gun laws. What what's necessary um, is taking the time and carefully screening. And when I say carefully screening, for instance, you have people who have a violent nature, or who, or even done some dumb things. Certain criminals shouldn't be allowed to carry guns. But think about this: criminals are going to be criminals. So if you think a criminal's not going to carry a gun,
And now I don't I
you're
wonder
at
do
that's
I
it's dumb,
always wonder if they do they think about that when they making the laws and stuff.
right? That's
Like
it's
because the criminal is gonna be a like you said, the
criminal.
criminal is gonna be a criminal. Like
They're
sometimes when
going to
they
get a
make
gun.
laws, I'd be like, they gonna like they not even following these laws. Like
They're not
they
right.
don't
So who? So
they
who's?
don't
So who are these laws? These laws are having an impact on those who are
yeah.
law-abiding people who have
Mm,
a sense of morals, a sense of direction, a sense of principles towards their fellow man. Right?
right.
These laws that you're creating are supposed to be restrictive, but upon whom?
Mm-hmm.
A
Hmm.
criminal has no morals, has no
Yeah.
ethics, has
Nope.
no principle.
That's why they a
So
criminal.
in lieu of that, let everybody carry a damn gun. So when they're met with this criminal, the criminal's going to have to make a life decision. Is this old lady packing? They're gonna have to make. They're
Yeah.
gonna have to make a judgment call. Like, well, damn, everybody's packing, not just me. I could wind up catching a hot one myself.
Right. Right.
I think it levels the playing ground, and the whole BS position of, oh, but we're a more civilized society. But are we?
Right.
Are we really a more civilized society? We bombing the shit out of everybody. We're
Stuff falling out the
we're putting
sky.
trillions of dollars into the military industrial complex. We're we're hell bent on funding our military to the hilt. We're funding our police to the hilt. So are we really a civilized society? It's just, I'm not saying we're not. I'm not saying that we're not. But I'm asking the question, are we really? Where's the examples? Where's the example of us being civilized? Again, I'm not saying that we're not civilized. I'm just saying, let's look at this objectively. I think everyone should be required to carry a firearm, or at least possess one, at least
Mm-hmm.
own one. You ain't got to carry it, but at least own one. Do you remember back in the 90s when we were younger? I used to have this position that This is was in my naive my days of being naive, because every time you turn around, someone's getting shot or something foolish like that was happening, right?
Mm.
Um, and I was foolish in thinking that gun laws were necessary. Gun laws weren't necessary. They weren't. I think what was necessary is that, I mean, because every time you turn around, oh, these guns are the problem. A gun isn't any more dangerous than a pencil.
And I think we might just say, just for YouTube, let's say pow pow. I
Say
think
again?
we let's change the I think I'm not sure if you can say if we're gonna
Gun.
be okay with, yeah, I
Okay,
think so.
right. I can't say that a firearm is any
Yeah.
more dangerous than a pencil. It
Right.
isn't any more dangerous than a hammer, right?
Mm-hmm.
A firearm isn't any more dangerous than my keys, because then
That's right.
keep in mind it's a tool. If I misuse any tool, someone can get hurt. So do you blame the tool or do you blame the user? But everyone is so quick, especially on one side of the aisle, everyone is so darn quick to say, oh, it's the tool, it's the fire. That's like that's like saying having a round that goes into that tool
Mm-hmm.
is the problem. Wait a minute. Hold up. Let me back it up. That's like saying the lead that's in the pencil is the problem.
Right.
We're not using any common sense. And as a civilized society, we're being a bunch of nincompoops. I know I
Yeah.
pulled that one out.
Yeah. Because look. Speaking on that, I do got some research on that because that's I can go back to what you were just talking about is the social implications of this stuff. It says firearm ownership is deeply personal. Deeply personal for many Americans. Pew Research shows that 73% of firearm owners say that they can't imagine life without their firearms. Yet, this attachment often overshadows discussions about non lethal alternatives, also protected under the Second Amendment.
So think about this. Most people who have a problem with fire, people who have suffered tragedies behind them,
Yeah,
right? Especially in our community. In our community, mothers are going to the streets and going to our legislators in various municipalities, jurisdictions, states, right? And they are being extremely vocal about the dangers of fire.
yeah,
But I think that their emotional connection to the tragedy that they've suffered or the loss that they've suffered prevents them from appropriately applying where the risk is, right? So they're running and saying the dangers of fire. No, it's the dangers of the people with the firearms,
yep. KRS-One said that a long time ago.
right? The firearm, no threat,
Yeah,
right?
without a hand holding it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. With nobody holding that, what does that make it? Does that makes it a tool at that point,
Yeah,
right? Because you're
exactly.
just
It's
sitting
on
there.
how it's all on how you wield it. For instance, if I take a 2-year-old child, 3-year-old child, 4-year-old child, and I give them a pair of scissors, and I have not told them or taught them trained them, guided them on how to properly one use, and then two to carry, right, or to transport from one place to the other. I just give them some scissors and I say, run along and play. They're going to hurt themselves or someone else. The biggest thing about firearm ownership is that there has to be um, a sense of responsibility. And I think that just socially, um, and I guess it comes down to there's also a moral position that has to be taken, right? Because now people are so desensitized to violence. And I'm not one of those that's going to say, "Oh, it's the video game's fault." Um,
Yeah, yeah,
the Grand Theft Autos. I'm not one of those. But there was a study done in New York, and this was years ago. That and someone was laying in the street injured. Over time, people get desensitized to violence. They get desensitized to blood. And when you think about the earlier you introduce your kids to violent video games, um, you get on there, you're operator, you're playing. Um, you lose that character, you lose that life, and then you respawn.
right.
You can start over. So the connection of how finite life really is I think in some cases has been severed, unless of course parents become an or they intercede and they say, okay, look, this is what's play, this is what's real. Now the other side of that coin is when we were growing up, um, we had some of the most violent of all cartoons on TV.
Yeah, yeah,
Looney Tunes was violent,
yeah. It was. It
right?
was.
But we and and that was in animation. But also the other thing
And
was that we went
you
outside
had
and played. We interacted with others.
and what you call it? What was the cartoon long time ago? With a guy, it was and he always chased the wascally wabbit. He had a
Yeah,
shotgun.
Elmer Fudd,
Hell,
Elmer Bugs
and
Bunny,
a
Bugs Bunny, Elmer
shotgun.
Fudd,
Hey, look,
um,
I
the Roadrunner,
mm-hmm.
yeah, Wile E. Coyote with the Roadrunner.
He was
What was
always
the other
trying to
one?
blow somebody up with his
Yeah,
two. At back that was Timu back
right.
then. Acme, his Acme
The
product.
Acme, right, it
Look,
was Acme.
I
Um,
used AI to look up some about scissors, and it says no confirmed deaths from typical scissors use according to NEISS data analysis. But hold on, what it says?
with scissors, and do you know why?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know why?
Then
Because
it says annual U.S. emergency room visits for scissors injuries. It's 4,000 children under 10.
hold up, 4,000 what? Children.
4,000 children. Yeah.
4,000 children. Why? Because someone didn't properly guide that child or these children on how to properly wield scissors,
I got
how to
another one for
properly
you. Look,
use them.
131 injuries involving running slash movement annually.
Go play. I gave you some scissors and I said, run along and play.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, so
It could be a weapon.
it could be a weapon. Scissors can be a weapon. Now, the other thing is, so when you're talking about law, also right, and you're talking about um, if someone winds up being injured, you have this thing called mens rea.
Mm-hmm.
Mens rea is basically in law. What was your intent? What's your motive and intent? Right? Did you intend? Um, I guess you can liken it to uh, was it premeditated? right? Were your actions premeditated, right? So if you can prove intent, someone intent was to injure someone with a pair of scissors, with a
Mm.
pencil, keys, you know, scissors again, you know. As a matter of fact, I have a case, a case for you. So you remember in the '90s, the one big thing that was AIDS, right?
Yeah.
And you had people who were infected or had HIV, and they were going around, and there were reports that people were going around just knocking people off, right? Knowing that they
Mhm.
were infected.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
Was that or was that not a weapon?
That was a weapon, and I
That's a
felt like anybody that
biological.
was yeah,
That's a
anybody that was doing that,
biological.
yeah, you need to go to jail if you was that dirty.
And not only that, though, they were doing it with the intent. They could
Yeah,
prove intent. So the mens rea was, yeah, they had intent, and they should go to jail. But yes, they walking. Look, they're walking around with a loaded weapon for real, for real.
for real, for real. You know what I mean? No joke
No,
at all.
that was truly something to think about. I mean, so a weapon is not just a word. It's a classification.
Right.
A firearm is a classification, right? Now, to get in more detail, a firearm is a tool, just like a hammer is a tool, a box
Mm-hmm.
cutter is a tool, right? A firearm could be a taser,
Yeah.
right? What else did it say it could be? It said it could be. Um, uh,
Wait,
there was a list that you read off that that could be classified as a weapon, right?
pistols, rifles,
Right. So a rifle, though, it can become a weapon, but it's also based on, remember, firearm, and then when a
batons,
tool,
chemical sprays.
exactly. But then in the definition, or in the description, you said a tool, which a weapon is a tool of whatever, right?
Yeah.
So right there, that tells you that when you're reading a law, um, it's not just, oh, everything is all inclusive. A lot of times they're classifying things for you.
Yeah, they are.
They're classifying. So if you're walking around, um, if you dirty and you try to knock somebody off, that's a weapon. But I typically run around with a firearm,
Yeah.
you
Nothing
know.
wrong with
But
that.
and mind you, I'm not even a gun owner. I'm not a gun owner, or I'm not a firearm owner. Let me rephrase that. I'm not a firearm owner. Um, but I a huge advocate for two-way rights. I'm and again, remember I was saying in the '90s, man. I was real hard on people, um, or, or or firearm legislation law. They need to do away guns, da da da. And I was so adamant about it.
Yeah, you were?
Oh man, I was, because I saw the destruction, and I think what what I didn't know was that a there was a world in which you could be a firearm owner and
It was
be
okay.
responsible.
Yeah.
You can be a firearm owner and be responsible.
Yeah.
And again, using the tool for its intended purpose, defense. I mean, that's just that's me connecting that dot. So I mean, I guess it's everything that we in our community. And so remember we were talking earlier about um, the NBA trade,
Yeah,
AD
yeah,
and Luka Doncic,
yeah.
and I made the statement that their relationship with these franchises was contractual in nature.
It
It's a
was. Yep.
contract.
Mm-hmm.
Anything and everything that we do outside of ourselves, say at arm's length, any interaction that we have with someone, something, business, corporation, even our government, is contractual in nature.
It is.
Everything is contractual in nature. And when we start, I guess,
So we
perceiving
signed
it through that
we
lens,
signed something at some point.
and even if we didn't sign it, our parents signed it. Even if we didn't, our parents did, right? But if we start looking at things through that lens, that it's our interaction with each other, um, with any business, any bank, and our government is contractual in nature, then we start to look at things, or you can start to look and say, okay, well, ask and then everything begins with a question. And I'll get to that. I'll get to something else about that in a minute. But when you start looking at it like that, you're like, okay, what is a contract? And when you start asking the questions, then you start, because remember I was saying people need to do their own research.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if someone is in a say a new state of awakening, so to speak, um, and they're going to ask themselves, well, where do I start? You start with a question. You start with a question. Well, what's the question? Well, the question is solely up to you. What do you want to know? I just gave you a question. What is a contract? And then you find out as much as you can about contracts. When we start to, I guess, evolve and start to progress,
Mm-hmm.
I learned this. Wow, I've been learning it my whole life, right? So people will say that um, your progression and your evolution, everything begins with the first step, right? So is that necessarily true? And I say no. My perspective, or the way I see it, is that everything begins with the right question. And because if you ask the right question, then that question will set you on your right path.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, everything, your progression, your growth, and in your development will is kind of the segue, or it's kind of the aftermath from the segue of asking the question, right? Start with the question. One, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Which direction? Just simple questions. Because once you ask that question, then that's going to set your path. So when someone's saying, "Oh, don't don't worry about what you're going to do, just do something," well, don't just do anything. Get to know yourself. Ask yourself the question: what do I want to do? Okay, I want to be a basketball player. Okay, cool. So there's another question that comes: how do I go about becoming a basketball? Oh, I'll practice. Breathe ball. I need to, you know, if I want to get to NBA, what is it going to take for me to get to NBA? hours and hours and hours and hours of practice. And you have to want it more than you want to breathe. That's where you'll find, I guess, your calling. That's where you'll find your direction. That's where you'll find um, your path. And a path, everyone is like, "Well, I don't know what path I'm going to be on. I don't know what I'm going to do." And you're young and you're in your 20s, it's okay. It's okay to be a dumbass and not know. It's totally okay not to know. Why? Because you've only been out of being a child for a couple of years. You're still an infant and you're going to be an adult way longer than you were a child. So you're still an infant even in your 20s. You've got time to figure it out. But if you want to find your path, ask a question. Ask yourself the question. Some people fall into the trap of doing what their parents used to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that I am, and I think pretty much our whole family. It's like, what do you want to do? Okay, and everyone is super supportive.
Yeah,
Super.
that's true. That's true.
Um, I was never one to kind of force my girls into doing something they didn't want to do. If they expressed an interest in it, I'd go out and say, okay, we're going to get you everything you need or as much as we can just to get you started.
Yeah,
It's on you.
yeah.
I'm going to support. And Anaya changed her mind so damn much.
That's how they be sometimes, man.
And right. And it's okay. It's totally
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, all right. You want to play guitar? Buy her a guitar. You want to draw? We bought her markers, pencils, and easels, and drawing tables, and
Mm,
paints, and brushes. And
right.
I'm going to foster whatever your interests are. And I don't have a problem with them changing their mind. Um, and some people would say, "Oh, you're fostering a uh, a, um, a habit of quitting." Nope, I'm not. I'm fostering a, a habit of take risk.
Yeah, you can do whatever. I mean,
What I'm trying to do is foster an environment where whatever it is you think you want to do, here it is. It's available to you. There's nothing that's going to be a stopgap between you and your success. The only stopgap is you. That's the only thing that's going to stop you from achieving whatever your goals are. So and I've heard that. Well, if you let them quit, I'm not letting them quit.
mm-hmm.
I didn't force them into it to begin with. They expressed an interest. That's all I need is for you to express an interest, and I'm going to do what I can to foster it. People change their mind every day. I love you.
Every
I
day.
hate you.
Every
I want to marry. I want to marry you. Look, I want to marry you. I can't stand her ass.
Man, why did I do that?
And you know what that's called? That's called evolution. People evolve. Feelings
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
interest is nothing more than a feeling that's acted upon, right? You say, okay, and it's not even always acted upon. You know, I have, you can have interest in a girl, but you never talk to her, and then what? It was just it
Yep.
was just, what do they call
Mm-hmm.
that? They call that crush.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Mm.
know, people have interest, foster them, foster them. Actually, I like the way this conversation is going, man. We just kind of letting it develop organically.
Yeah, yeah, we went all over the place we've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You know
we
me.
talked
I'm a chatterbox. So
yeah, we talked about a lot.
I'm a
Talked
chatterbox.
about
I'll
a
talk
lot.
about
We talked
anything and
about
everything. I mean, what are some things that you're interested in? Like, what are some things that what makes
I mean, like I
What
mean,
makes Jay Stone what makes Jay Stone tick?
yeah, I mean, it's music, technology, that's mainly it. Music, technology. Then I guess like then I kind of keep up with the local politics too, like local things that's going on. And that's it, man.
Did you know I was going to run for mayor in Baltimore City years ago?
For real.
Yep. And I was derailed when I got injured. Um, that kind of fell to the wayside, and then I was like, okay, I need to get the hell out of here. But
Who was the mayor at that time? Man?
was it Sheila?
Oh wow.
It was Sheila.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Sheila. Because
I never knew that.
yeah. Um, so here's the funny thing. So do you remember when? I'm not saying that. I typically am a little bit ahead of the curve on some things. I was saying with Dane Calloway, he would put out stuff, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
pulled him up on YouTube. I didn't
yeah,
subscribe to his channel and everything.
you might want to subscribe to that.
Let me see. I'm
You
gonna
might
show
want to
you real
subscribe.
quick. I'm gonna
As a
show
matter
you.
of
I'm gonna
fact,
show you.
he
Let
just
me
put something out,
try to share.
and again, I I have yet to find uh, a topic in which he and I aren't aligned ideologically.
This him? Can you see this?
Yep. So that whole make you think, he
Mm-hmm.
has this thing where he says, "I'm just here to make you think." What's crazy, and I have receipts. People who know me, I used to say that I just want to make people think because most people don't think past their nose. And it's funny because that's what I say. And I'm not trying to take any credit or take anything, or say that nothing like that. I am a supporter of what he does and the content which he pushes out, without a doubt. Um, but
He
also,
got 550,000 subscribers. So
yeah,
yeah, that's
dude,
what
yeah,
I want to be. I want to be there.
yeah,
He
and
making money.
he does the research. So when Obama, before Obama was elected, uh, that was around the time when I was looking at possibly running to be a mayor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that, and I'll put you in touch with my boy Jerome. Uh, Shout out to Jerome, Jerome Fair. That's my man. Uh, but I was always saying that there need to be transparency in politics. There need to
It
be
just, yeah,
right. So,
it would help.
and right after that, now mind you, I wasn't following politics. I wasn't, especially not national. Um, and Next thing I know, I caught wind of someone was talking about this guy, Obama, and sure as shit, he's saying the exact same thing I was saying about. There needs to be transparency. Oh, the fuck? Um, I want to say that at times I'm not gonna say I hit the curve. I'm not gonna say that. Um, I'm in alignment with what's going on or what should be going on, and it's incredible to see that there are other people with like-minded ideologies,
Hmm.
other people who are seeing things the way I see them. Like, okay, so it's good to see that. Now, do I am I a was I a huge Barack fan? Um, Initially, I had hopes, right? So I was, I guess I was taking a page out of Jesse Jackson's "Keep Hope Alive." Most people be like, Jesse who?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, I was pulling one
that
out.
guy.
Yeah,
You know.
but
But
then
yeah,
again,
I mean, not to cut you up, but I guess, and that was the same way with Obama. I had hope, and then somebody just like lost everything. It just lost the thunder. And I don't know, somewhere. I think somewhere along the line, I think we got complacent too.
yeah.
We thought we was winning for a minute,
Well,
and we wasn't. I mean,
yeah. So
and then it wasn't. It was like so much you could do because I mean, and then at the same time, you got to think of like when you. It's like when I look at the president, he's supposed to be the whole face of the country, and so you like, who is he really representing? That's why
one
you
thing
like
ever.
you said like I think like saying going for like local things make more difference to me, but it's still kind of like even the presidency it still has some kind of trickle down effect on you
Oh,
still.
absolutely. Um, I, so um, Big Mike, Ti, they are um even KRS One. Um, they are so profound. But Big Mike had made a statement a while back, and I don't even remember exactly. It was an interview he was doing, but the point to to your point where you're like, it makes more sense to be involved on a local level because the local level is where you can have the most impact, where you can
Mm,
affect the most change if there's change to be had.
yeah.
Because on the national scale, it's just too broad. So if we're going to have an impact or affect any change, we need to, I guess, concentrate on a local level, and then as you graduate or matriculate to the next level, if you so aspire, you can try and take those gains and those wins with you. One, building an effort and a um, some momentum, but ultimately, uh, and then now that the support, especially if the efforts that you're making are having uh, some real meaningful change. But outside of that, if you're thinking, you can't think. Going back to Obama, right? So the problem, the problem was this and this is why I say I had hopes. I had hope, but I was realistic in knowing two things. One, um, he is the executive branch. He can do executive orders, but executive orders only have so much legs to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, he's not the lawmaker. That's the legislative branch. That's the House and the Senate. That's Congress. So, and just leaving the judicial branch out, right? Because they just waiting back. Go ahead, screw up, and then we'll address some dumb shit that y'all try to make a law,
Right. Right.
right? But the what makes the president so, I guess, meaningful and powerful is because he has to execute the bullshit that comes out of Congress. He's like the police arm, right? He's the bouncer. Y'all gonna behave up in here, or I'm gonna put y'all the hell out of here. He's the bouncer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Y'all gonna act
Right.
like y'all
Right.
got some
Yeah.
damn sense up in here, or I'm gonna L y'all the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it seemed like, right? Yeah.
That's all the president is now. At the same time, you gotta also look at it like this: he's a man of color, and this is this is ultimately why my hopes were kind of like, let's see. As a man of color, we as a culture and as a people, we we're pretty forgiving. We're pretty inclusive. We're pretty liberal. Like we love everybody, right? Um, we're, we're community, right? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
Can you
kind
hear
of
me?
went to an
Because
echo. Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Went to, went to an echo. I
Can you hear
hear.
me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
It's a scene. I hate. I see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I can't hear you.
I can. You can't hear me. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Look, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I can't hear you. But um, I forgot what the hell I was saying.
You was talking
Oh,
about
so
yeah.
the the one thing that about we're so inclusive and we don't we believe in, I guess, fair play for the most part, and I think that I watched how things played out and I was like, he's not going to do shit for us. That was
No.
kind of my because, and I was like, because if he goes in and he does anything specifically for melanated people, it's going to end badly.
Yeah, they would have lost their minds.
I hear you, but
That's what I started to think too. I started to think that too.
yeah, I can't hear
I
you.
don't know. I don't know why you can't hear me, but yeah, I think they would have lost their minds too. Let me see something. Let me see. See you over here. Everything look fine on my end. I don't know why you can't hear me. Let me see. Let me play in my settings. Still there. Still there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can
Yeah, I
hear
can't hear
you.
you.
You can't hear me.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know what's going on.
it's just one of
Wait,
those
let me
things
see
where it's
something.
like it's gonna end badly for us. And not only that, if you think of being in the spirit of America, right? Um, Being the melting pot that it is, it is, I guess, ungoddamn American to just be so specific as to do something for one group of people.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say that. we're not due. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you target a select group of people, and it has been done in history, it has been done in history, but when you know better, you do better. So for him to go into office and say, okay, if you were melanated and you were, hold up, if you were melanated and you were discriminated against, I'm here to tell you right now that there is on the horizon a reprieve for you. I'll say right now, as your president, that Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, I will make your wrongs right. Now, do I ultimately? I'm like, he, his hands were tied. He couldn't do that. Would it have been nice? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like a, I'd like a. Well, I don't want no damn 40 acres.
That was a good impression, by the way, too.
I'll take 5. I'll take 5 acres and fuck a mule. I'll take 10 Mexicans. Okay, it was a joke.
Yes, we just joking.
I
Sat.
can't
What
hear
did
a
you
word
say?
you're saying, man.
Satire. That was satire. You can't. I don't know why you can't hear me. I can hear you. I can hear. I can hear you. I can hear you. But it's still going. So everything is still going. I can. It's you in the live. Everything is. But so I guess you can't hear me. That it's kind of messed up. I don't know what to do that you can't hear me. I looked at everything. I don't know what to do.
So look, this one we're gonna do. Uh, we can we can pick this up in another broadcast.
Okay, we could do that. Yeah,
And because I mean, we've been
yeah.
going
Because
what, an hour
yeah,
and
maybe.
37, 38 minutes.
Yeah, you
We've
see
covered a
that
lot,
time.
and there's
Yeah,
still
we
so
did.
much that we could cover.
It is.
And maybe I'll reprise my Barack Obama impression.
I try to tell you. I try to tell you that was good. That was good. That was good. That was good.
Hey, I don't know
Because
where it
maybe
came from.
I guess maybe
Look, I
YouTube
just
trying
pulled
to
that
say we
out.
went over the time or something,
I just
and
pulled
they
that one
trying to
out. I
mute
don't
us
know where
up.
it came from. But yeah, we can chop it up some more. Um, you know. So thank you for having me on. Um, it was a privilege, and it was a lot of fun. And hopefully we can tackle
Oh
some
yeah, we
more
gonna do it more.
or I guess talking points. So
Yeah,
thanks for connecting with connecting dots.
connected dots.
Connecting with connecting dots, and we'll do this again real soon. I love you
No
guys.
doubt. Love you too. Peace. All right, y'all. That was a probably the longest live I ever did in my YouTube history. That was good. I had my cousin on. He's still here. He's still back in. I took him out the scene. He's still out here fumbling with his phone. Still here, fumbling with his phone. Can you hear me now? I guess you can't hear me. Still there. He can't hear me. But if he get to talking, I'm bring him back in. But look, we're gonna end this at. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Anybody that joined us in there, we had a great discussion, and we're gonna have more. This is just the beginning of something that we just starting out to do. So keep tuning in for the next one. Peace. We out.